Hey everyone. Just wanted to let you know before starting this. This is a little bit different than what I've been putting out these past few months. This is something I've definitely been wanting to do for a while now. I've just never really sat down and spoke, really. I had everything written down and, I kind of had a few edits. It's a rough draft. I definitely don't think it's a fully finished, thorough, well thought out paper. I definitely can say that they'll sound a little choppy. Not the best thing that I've ever put out on the internet, but still, definitely something that I want to do. So obviously, sit down, gotta record it, just do it, spit it out there, and hopefully, I can do more of these going forward. I'm, responses, whatever it is, I'm not really caring about that. It's mostly for my own benefit. Just something that I can put out there, almost like a digital diary, so to speak. So fingers crossed, more of this can come up, and next week will be the regular podcast schedule again. All right, I hope you guys enjoy. I'm afraid of the future. There, I said it. How can I express what no one truly wants to admit? How is it now that I'm crossing this path, and not earlier, or not later? It's difficult to quantify my thoughts and openly express them. Even while I write this, I still find myself stopping and tuning into the show on Netflix. I drive my choices in life by what brings me immediate gratification, though those decisions don't always pan out for the greater good. Most of what I have done in life revolved around the short term. What can I do for myself? What will make this day go by faster and easier? No real investment into what makes me a more holistic individual. Sure, I can make plans to get my life together, but what real progress have I made that set a direction for me? It's been about 6 months since I moved out of my dad's place, and what have I done to set a path in my life? Even now, I find it difficult to continue writing this. Constant distractions at my fingertips, my cell phone, video games, and even sleep whispers in my ear. All of these things are contributing to my failures in life. I know that there's a point every person has to reach, and I feel as though every day I slip further and further away. Plain and simple, I feel like I'm out of matches and the darkness is closing in. Let's start at the beginning, where I developed all my habits and thoroughly destroyed them at the same time. High school. For the sake of this train of thought, let's leave out family life and a few external factors that played into the personality that I developed. I want to focus on what molded my drive and passions in life. Essentially, the response I would give when someone asked, "What do you want to do with your life?" Just a side note before delving deeper into this self-analysis, I think the blanket question of "what do you want to do with your life" is such a loaded question, especially when there's an unspoken stigma where you have to impress the person asking the question, or at least what I interpret it as. I believed it was a poor choice to say, "I don't know," or respond with something that people might not approve of, though that's for a later discussion. High school. The year was 2010. I was really into the Beatles and just a couple other bands, but mostly the Beatles. I think it's important to bring it up as it reflects my narrow-minded perception of what is good or right, which then influenced what I had passions for. Because no one wants to have a bad passion. I was attached to something that I was familiar with and justified to myself that the Beatles were all I needed to enjoy music. I even convinced myself that people who listened to other music and not the Beatles were idiots and had no true taste in music. I think there lies my first flaw in my functional design. I had all these preconceived notions about career options and life choices that clouded me from the beginning. Granted, I think this could be a reflection of a lot of kids at the time, but not having an open platform to truly understand and appreciate other factors in my life solidified my ignorance. Basically, I had a cookie-cutter vision of what I wanted to do in life, and there was no one smart enough or charismatic enough to convince me otherwise. Engineering was where I was headed. Keep in mind, this career path was a more technically skilled area of choice. I want to touch on that for a moment. What made me choose, at the age of 15, a life of math and science? Well, short and simple, it was the money. Sure, I thought the introduction to engineering class was fun, but I also thought being loud and obnoxious was fun. Okay, granted, I still carry on some of those previously mentioned traits to this day, but that's besides the point. What I'm trying to get at is that at an early age, I didn't pursue a job or a passion that would bring me happiness. I thought I could find happiness outside of the job. Was that a mistake? I'm not sure at this point, but let's keep moving. So at this point, I think it's safe to say that I was just going with the motions during my young formidable years. I latched on to something that I could impress family friends with when they asked, what did I want to do with my life? And I would respond with, oh, I'm taking engineering classes. And they would respond with, wow, engineering classes in high school? And the conversation would continue on something like that. I wouldn't say I was lacking in any other department or missed out on a traditional high school experience, so what set myself differently than others? Some might point out the fact that I moved to Frisco from Allen. That was maybe a large step in life that caused me to skew my views in what is tangible and redefine my capabilities to fit into a new change in scenery. To that, I respond with a hell no. Looking back, I adapted very quickly and latched myself onto the most related group I could find my freshman year. Though, now that I'm thinking about it, relating myself to what I call my closest friends might have had a slight adverse effect on my self-confidence or true faith in my abilities. I wouldn't say it was a huge problem that set me back and sent me down a spiraling staircase of insanity, but I did question my own intelligence. I'm not going to go on a tangent of self-worth and value of relationships, but I will mention the highlights. Out of my friend group, I never really considered myself as one of the smarter friends in the group. Why is this? Subconsciously, I didn't believe that my opinions and ideas were valued at all. Honestly, excluding a few true close friends, I still feel as though my own conscience is just another wall in someone else's house. As if my life isn't the center of the world, playing the quirky side character watching other people's life. Maybe that's part of the underlying cause of my outbursts and annoying personality. The only way to be considered a person and have recognition in this world is by forcing myself onto other people's plates. As if just a regular conversation would go by the wayside unless I stamp my seal on the situation so I can guarantee that it is what I want it to be. Drawing the conclusion to my original discussion, how can I stamp my seal on my own life if I don't know how to value myself? Okay, major tangent, but it's valuable if I'm going to keep digging into possibly finding a better understanding of myself. And with that, here's an excerpt of something I wrote a while ago but didn't bother rewriting until I literally had nothing else to do. Looking back, I write this in a position in which my younger mind could never have imagined. Oh man, 10-year-old me would have had different ideas about growing up. What becomes of our own self-morality when faced with uncertainty? For myself, it was not a complete challenge, but slight alterations. I recall a time back in elementary school, long ago, I swore to never do drugs, smoke, or drink. I apologize and I'm sincerely sorry. I've not only broken that promise, but I'm afraid my younger self would not have been proud of who I am today. Not to say that I devolved to a complete failure of myself, but who would want to see themselves as an anxious, self-serving, bald individual? Maybe it's not fair to criticize myself so harshly. I mean, I can only self-evaluate to a certain extent. It would be wise for me to take it upon others to grant me clarity. The irony is that I seek others to validate my self-fulfilling prophecy, and no one to challenge my views. Even if confronted with such an individual who could go against the grain and rock my world, I think that I'm so far up my own ass that I wouldn't even take it as legitimate advice. Or is it because I don't want to change? At this point, is it too hard to change what I do day to day? That thought scares me way beyond anything Hollywood could come up with. Me being stuck in a routine and not being able to leave, trapped forever in my own self-created box. Any reasonable human being would tell you that it's never too late to change. I disagree. We become so familiar with what the world owes us and what we can take that any change in the norm will go by the wayside. I've rarely seen a shit kid become a nice adult. It's a nice day out. Why ruin the scenery with the truth? Isn't that the point? To find a balance between our own ignorance and our alterations of mind? I don't think the water that I'm drinking is purely clean, though part of me is okay with that, and the other part is not. For the most part, I am a disgusting human being. My habits, my smell, my personality. Enough of this self-analysis. I think it would be more productive to enjoy the day, though I can't. I find my mood shifting too easily and too often. Why is this? I'm not sure. Alright, well, I appreciate you listening, and Hopefully it doesn't sound as bad as I think it does. Have a good night, everyone.